Okay, good night, good night, good night, night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. Your 90 minutes of manhood, fathership, and intellectual debate, conversation by fathers, for fathers, about fatherhood. I'm your curator, Dr. Ron Osborne Williams, and we're going to have a fruitful conversation tonight, one that is a twist on what is normally said. You know, why do good girls like bad guys? Tonight we're twisting that here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. Why do good guys like bad girls? And so we're going to jump in that conversation after we hear from all of our panelists of tonight. Again, like, share, and subscribe. Share this with someone who you think needs to hear a father and male perspective on topics that affect not just men, their children, their family, as well as the community. Uh, Again, let's go around and let's hear from some of these dads.
Okay, I guess I go first. Elder Thomas Alberry, been married coming up this June will be 50 years. I have two adult children, male and female, that are both married, and I have 7 grandkids, two young gentlemen and 5 young gentle ladies. Good to be here tonight. God bless.
Frederick Adams, one adult child, two teenagers, one young and one young.
Johnny Gaspard, father of 2 young adults, 25, well, 24, it will be 25 on what, Thursday? Yeah, gonna be 25 years old. And my son is gonna be 21. He's 21 years old, and they still in my pockets, but God is. So thank y'all. Look, glad to be here tonight to discuss this interesting topic.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Daniel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 3 young women, 4 young men, 1 grandson, and 1 granddaughter. So it's always a pleasure to be
here. Good evening, fathers. My name is Rohan Zodok. I'm a father of 2 young ladies, 16 and 18. As I always say, it's a pleasure being here to metal sharpen metal and to learn new things and to share ideas how to be better fathers and do our best for all children. Yep.
Is that everybody?
Good evening, fathers.
I'll go. Okay, yeah, he'll go. Go,
J. Rob Menard, father of 2 young adults.
All right, Jay, you up.
All right, good evening, gentlemen. I'm Justin Gibbs. I'm a father of, I call it 4.5 because the other half of me is missing, but I'm always here to enjoy my time with you gentlemen. Always a salutation.
There you, Jay. I think that's everybody, Ron.
That's everybody. Well, with that being everybody, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Why do you, okay, first let me ask this question and I'll go around because I think this is probably the more question we need to ask first. How many of you guys on this fathers consider you yourself a good guy? And I know that and if we could just be really, let's be honest and transparent with ourselves, because sometimes what happens is every human being thinks they're a good person. You know, they think they're a good guy, they're good mate, good whatever. let's just think about it. All right, would you consider and find yourself to be a good guy? And if you know, if you are a good guy, if you figure you're not a good guy, uh, and it's not, I guess it's how you define it. Because as I begin to say, if you're not a good guy, that could be very subjective. What we can consider not being a good guy and what we consider being a good guy. So how you see, let's do this. How you see yourself as a good guy. I think that's what we want to go through first, and then we can get into how that equates to the bad girl and what. And then I think even as you say, as a good guy, what do you define it as a bad girl? Because I as I begin to write this and get this ready, and I was just thinking, what is a bad? I mean, what's the bad girl? How do we define it? But because we have a multitude of fathers here, we can hear from multiple men what they think a good guy is and a bad girl, and then we can, really educate people on perception wise. So take it away, whoever wants to go first.
Well, I'll jump in because I believe you could be both a good guy and a bad guy at the same time. And I also believe that different people will have different perceptions of who you are, depending on your time in life that you may have encountered them. Because I may have encountered a young lady when I was in my early 20s, being what's the word would say, free, sowing my wild oats and doing some stuff where I may have people tend to fall in love when you're a good dude. And people want to be your one and only. And then you decided that's not what you want. So that chick at that time of my life would say, oh, that's a stank, cuss me out, call me all, I'm definitely a bad dude. But as I got older and I got a better understanding of what being a man really is all about, and being responsible and maturing and those kind of things, then you make better choices. So now people would consider me to be a good guy in reference to especially women, because one, you learn how to treat a woman, you understand what your expectations are and what you should expect from them. I think all of that plays a role in you maturing and becoming that good guy, as they say. And at times when you are somebody who, like myself, I have a very structured life at times. Sometimes I'm too rigid in reference to who I am. And as a result of that, you attract or you are attracted to people that may be completely opposite. Like you may be an introvert, but they're an extrovert. And because she's an extrovert, doesn't necessarily make her a bad girl, but she behaves like a bad girl, which attracts you even more. And you'll unfortunately tend to ignore a lot of the red flags that say she might not be the right one for you. And again, still doesn't make her necessarily a bad girl, just maybe a bad girl for you. I hope that makes a lot of sense to people out there, because I don't believe there's only any such thing as bad girls or bad guys. I just think that they're bad people for you. And I'm framing it in the context of relationships and things of that nature, because we know there are people out there who are bad in reference to how they treat the world and what they do to the world and in the world. But from the perspective of relationships, I think that's my concept of what a bad girl and a good guy can be, and vice versa.
You know what? I think there's only two types of human beings in the world. There's human being right and humans being wrong. You understand? So
I don't ever like Bird to follow me, because he just be making me seem like I ain't even went to school, like I ain't got no degree or nothing, no experience. But go ahead, like boy, go ahead.
no, I actually heard somebody say, I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, two types of human beings in the world: human being right and human being wrong. And so with that, I think sometimes we can mistake bold for bad, depending on who you are. If you're at an inferiority complex, or not even complex, but if you're in an inferiority position in society, then your bold can be misconstrued as bad. Which means if you're a black and you do something bold, it could be considered bad on a racist on a racial front or racist front. If you are a woman in a sexist world and you're bold, then it can be considered bad on a sexist front. And if you're poor and you're bold, then it can be bad on a classist front. And so I think oftentimes bold gets stereotyped of being bad depending on what's your position in life. You understand? And so when that happens, people get a bad rap, and you get penalized for the very freedom God blessed you, right? And so you have to now, and I guess, reevaluate how you negotiate your boldness. You understand? So number one, it won't be stereotyped as badness rather, or more likely, so you can own it, right? You can own it and really use it within the confines God actually blessed you to be bold with. And so again, I think oftentimes, particularly when it comes to women boldness get stereotyped as badness, especially when it comes to a man, because a woman has a right to be just as sexually liberated as a man. But the minute she exercises her sexual freedoms, then she's called something else, and a man would never get those stereotypes. So we can talk more about this. Then I'm going to go back to the point of creation, because we have to go to the origin of what was badness, when women would have been considered bad, and how I guess the two types of outlooks when it comes to that. Because I think that particularly when it comes to a woman being bad, we have to ask ourselves as men, right? Is this a characteristics of a woman, or is it a curse? You understand? And so when you go back to the point of origins, again, I'm a Christian, devout Christian, and so my standard is always the Bible. I have to go back to that Adam and Eve situation. I have to, really question her badness, whether it's a character or a curse, or better yet, it's a character that fits the curse. You understand? Because again, I think certain things that don't get it, I rarely hear. I had to actually study I got married, so I had to find out everything I can about women. My ignorance towards them, I never heard the Bible study really clarify when God was distributing those curses. About he was like, okay, snake, you got to do this. The woman, you're gonna bear children. And then it goes on to give a woman like a two-part curse. She got a combo curse. She's gonna bear children in pain, but she also gonna always want to overthrow her husband. A lot of people don't. I'm like, you're gonna gloss over it. I'm like, it's there. You just don't understand it, but it's there. It said her desires will be to her husband, but he will rule over you. Now, why would a man need to rule over you? You understand? And it goes back to what women always say, because I don't want no weak man. And so we can see the fact that a bold woman don't want a weak man. She's going to tend to challenge that man. Hence, for where we get the word "the man" from. But I digress. I'm gonna let somebody else go.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Lightburn. I tell you, this topic is deep. So let's keep this rolling. We know that most people, male or female, we have attraction. Yeah, where someone sees someone and just like the person, you like her features, her I could say her behavior. That could be added too. But
personality.
Personality, that's when you get to know the person. But let's be real. Let's go back to nature. In the wild, you have the animals will behave a certain way, behave rude and fight for the female. They'll do all kinds of things to conquer, to win the female. The elephants do it, the lions do it, all different groups of people do that. But we can go deeper than that. We know that for some good guys, because maybe he was not brought up by, he's a soft guy, he's a nice guy. He was brought up in a home setting where he wasn't exposed to certain things. Now, a bad girl can come into the picture and take him totally off his feet. She can introduce him to things that he has never, ever dreamed of.
I'm telling you, man, mess your whole life up. Go ahead.
And they, as you say, they can mess your whole life up. But look at it another way. She can also give you an experience so you don't repeat it in the future. So we know that when, based off my research, because I've had experience with this, I've heard some
I'm
women.
sorry.
Go ahead. My bad.
Hold on. You say your research?
Yeah, research. Yes, research. Yeah, I research this topic. Okay, let's continue.
This
We
man
know
right
that
here.
some women, they like bad boys because most times the bad boy will go over the limb. He will do what the nice guy won't do to make her happy. And to make her happy, as long as you make her happy, and she don't care wherever you got the money from, wherever you do your thing, at the end of the day, she's getting what she wants. So there are many women who will be attracted to that type of guy because guess what? He always provides, he's always there, he always make me feel good. Yeah? Versus the nice guy or the good guy who's gonna question, who's gonna say why? How? Why should I do this? And so many people, they want a yes guy. And I would say for most men, we, including myself, we need backbone, because I'm not saying women should not have control, but that control given to the wrong person can have devastating consequences.
Mm.
So definitely keep in mind, bad boys have a role in the society, but there are consequences to those behaviors. So for both parties, the male and the female. That's what I got to say about that topic.
Okay. Anybody else? What the question that we have on the table right now is, what do you define as a bad boy? I mean, a good boy, a good man, I'm sorry, good guy. And what would you consider, what's your perception of what would be a bad girl? So we're looking at, before we really get in this conversation, we're looking at what some of our perceptions are, expectations, some of our own, conclusions, our subjective idea of what those things are. And then we're going to break down into the different parts. So anybody else, we taking all men, because you all are men and you all had, y'all had a woman. I hope. Well, I'm pretty sure you have, because if you're a father on here, then I don't even know why I even said that. Don't.
You didn't say anything wrong, my friend. Go ahead.
Huh?
You didn't say anything wrong.
Good.
No, you just gotta,
Right.
Hello?
I say this to you. You have to be mindful, and I think that more and more that, and I think this is something as fathers we have to think about. A lot of us may be so comfortable in our space, right? In the world we live in, the spaces are very different. And even though I may feel like, hey, this is our little private space and we know who everybody is, whatever. It could be easily, I could be wrong or we could be wrong. And then that turns into a thing where, we not respecting people's right or privilege or whatever it is. So, I mean, we have to be very proactive today and think about, you can't, I know that in the past we just said what they wanted to say. Some people, don't care about getting, I guess, allegedly called canceled or whatever it is. But I think that even in some senses, some people could even say that, our topic could be canceling. Like you saying guys are good and women are bad. That's their perception.
Got it.
So we have to always be thinking, and I think this is why we got so many good, intelligent minds, that if you think you're gonna pull us on that card, I know Lightborn to take us out of there, and I know Johnny with his lawyer skills to take us any way you want to try to put us. Don't worry, we got the crew on here to take you up out of here, take us out of whatever little pit you try to put us in. All right, let me get back and let some other dads talk about their perception of a good guy and a bad girl.
Frederick was getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I think Fred was.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Can you hear me good?
Yes.
My perspective of that, good guy, nice things, flowers, first day, you know, good little boy, come to the house and the father accept him. Oh, he's a nice kind of guy, you know. Yeah, bring him over. I know his family. He was in with the bad girls. Oh man, I would say, oh, she hang around this person, that person, you know, got more experience, you know, and uh, some of the bad guys done treated her wrong. So sometimes they'll flip the table or vice versa.
Mhm. Point taken.
El, do you have something you want to say? You want to throw in there?
Elder Thomas, you ain't gonna.
Oh, I didn't have sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, mm, I was sitting here thinking just about saying bad girl. But do we truly know that the person is bad? Have we gotten to know that part of them, is it the reputation that precedes the person about being bad? So like the saying here, I don't know who you are, but you will show me who you are.
Yeah.
Then I will know what I need, how I will proceed with you. And that was thoughts that was going through my head.
I like that.
You brought up something very interesting because you're right. How bad can be predicated on reputation and not situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yes.
most time when most people who get judged, good or bad, were judged by moments, right? And it's amazing how a moment can define you. Your moment is really not your movement. You understand? The whole totality of your existence is not based on moments. We all have moments. And so I think if somebody's going to be bad, it gives somebody else the opportunity to be good. You understand? And I think that's why we all exist, so we can be stronger for each other. The Bible say, the strong must bear the infirmities of the weak. And so when I think of those moments, I think those are moments. But if the person is bad, it gives you the opportunity to be good. The person is good, guess what? It gives you the opportunity to be bad. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't feel like being good all the time. I can just totally tell you that straight up. And I'm a Christian. I really don't. Because it's certain moments that I feel like being reckless. I ain't got to tell y'all that because we done had a lot of conversations. And so with that, in order that, and guess what? I get to move from, it gives me the opportunity to move from just existing to being excited. And I think everybody wants to experience excitement. And sometimes I think even for the lack of being grammatically correct, even the goodest guy, you understand, needed a little excitement in their lives.
The
and
what
so
guy?
even the goodest guy.
Oh, good. I was just
Interesting.
And so I think sometimes we have to explain, and I think this for everybody. I don't think there's a human being in existence that didn't want to explore their bad sides. Just to say I lived a little.
I hear that.
And that has nothing to do, but I think it's just to feel grounded in a certain extent, that like I did everything wrong. Because sometimes you see somebody who's done everything right. By the time they do something wrong, they do it in the worst way.
Yeah.
It's because they was deprived those opportunities, you understand, to be wrong. And I think every human being has a right to be wrong at some point.
I mean,
I'm listening to what Lightborn was
jumping
saying.
on.
Oh, go ahead, Elder Thomas.
I was just gonna say real quick, just jumping on what Lionel just said. I believe it's a daily choice that you make, and sometimes it's a moment by moment choice that we make. The good that I do, the Bible says, but the bad comes in and and seem to take over. But we just have to it's a mindset. It's a mindset. What it is. Today, I'm walking out here and I'm gonna be the best father, the best man that I could be, and walk on that
I hear that.
with the help of course, the Lord leading you, guiding you.
Yep, I agree with
Sure.
that.
Go ahead, Jay. Gene.
Yeah, I was also listening to what Lionel was saying, and I think, you know, with that, and it goes back to what also Ron was saying in the beginning, that it's subjective, right? And then, but then I was listening to what Lionel was saying when it says about the person being bad and having moments of bad. But I think that boils down to frequency and duration, right? How often am I bad versus how often am I good? And that's what dictates whether you're good or bad. You see what I'm saying? You can't do negative things and then have spurts of clarity and do something right and then want to be considered the opposite of who you are, of what your actions show. Not who you are, but what your actions show. And I think we do have to give people a chance to prove themselves and show that they can change and have the capacity to change again. But it also deals with that frequency and duration when it comes to whether or not you're saying, hey, you know what? This person it's wise for me to be with this person and commit myself to the person, or it's not wise for me to do that. And I think once we start to look at it as that, again, because we all have our idea of what a bad person is, right? Like some people, you got people in love with criminals in jail, who are mass murderers, who are serial killers. Their perception for them is that they're not a bad, they just were put in a bad situation, so they did bad things, that they're not a bad person. So again, I think it's so subjective when you start talking about the idea of what a bad girl is, or in that sense. I think for me, I take it to an extreme and think toxicity, right? So when I think about a bad girl and a bad person in my life, I'm thinking how toxic they are to me and how they make me change into a different person if I wasn't with them. You see what I'm saying? Because they're giving me that that input that's going to make me be different than what I normally am. I think there's a good level to when you talk about that, whereas the excitement piece, like Lana was saying. So if you're showing me a different side, like I'm an introvert, but you're taking me out to nice places, you're showing me a different world. I've never gone out dancing, you took me out dancing. A lot of people be like, oh my God, you must when she goes to clubs, she goes there, that's a bad girl. But that's not what for me, that's not what makes you a bad girl. You're introducing me to a different life. You see what I'm saying? So it's so many different extremes. So I think toxicity for me is where I place it, and how you cause my character to be different is when I consider you to be not that right person.
Good point. I was gonna say that in that same description, I could be, and you hear it all the time. Oh, he a horrible husband. He a dog. He a horrible man, but he a great daddy. So when I sit down and think about that, so are you a good boy, a good guy, or a bad guy? Because to her, you might be a horrible person, but to the kids, you the greatest thing since sliced bread. So that's why I said earlier, we have a little bit of both in us, the good and the bad, because it all depends on the view of the person. You hear about people tell you all the time, it's about how you look at things. I've heard the story about the guy who was in jail, and when he looked out this window, he always looked down, and all he saw was the mud when it was raining. And this other guy always looked up, and he just saw the opportunity, the sun, the rain, and how it helps stuff grow. So it's all about your view of how somebody is towards you. And I think, Gene, you had a good point. How does that person make you feel? Will then determine, and even in that scenario, again, they may be bad to you, but good to someone else. And I think that's why this distinction about why do good guys love bad girls, it's all about who they are to you, because that same bad girl is timid to another guy. She might be horrible to you,
Mhm.
but treat like some other dude is treating her like dirt, and she can't walk away from that for whatever reason. But when it comes to you, she could treat you like crap, and you know, because she don't care. You don't have that same vibe for her. So that's why I say it's all about one, how that person makes her feel, like Gene said, but it's really about your involvement and position in the life with that person.
And you know,
Well, I like
oh,
no, because he remind me. I went straight to the movie Casino with Ginger and Robert De Niro's character. So you want to see on point. Go ahead, Ron.
well, I mean, it's funny that you go into a movie because I went to a movie too immediately, and I went to the idea of the movie of The Color Purple, right? And because people watch The Color Purple in our culture, we understand The Color Purple. Mister is considered a bad guy.
Bad guy, yes, his character is
horrible to see, like everything. But the Suge,
yes,
he get dissed by Suge, but he butter grits and baked biscuits for Suge. But Suge don't got nothing to do with him. It's a site. So it's a great example for us to sometimes be able to look at that. Sometimes we may be that really good guy for a woman, and to her she may be a bad woman to us. But we may have already been a bad guy to some other woman, and vice versa.
But
we see a cycle in our society where a lot of times people, and I think like Boy said this, people want to chase the excitement. They want to chase a person who's going to be excited. They're going to have fun. And sometimes fun people probably not the best people to be with, because some of their fun leave you with a bundle of joy.
But Ron, you said that perfectly. And I'm gonna tell you what we as, particularly as guys, but particularly as individuals, quote unquote good individuals, where we are where we make our mistake at. And this is what I love about good, quote unquote good people. Quote unquote good people are always taught to look for the red flags in everybody else and ignore their own red flags. Now, what do I mean by that? I simply means when the person told you they really wasn't interested before you convinced them that they will be interested, because their initial response to you and rejection of you understand? Because nobody, how dare you reject a good person? The worst thing you can do in the world is reject a good person. And one thing we don't like is having our good rejected. And so what we do is say, no, how dare you? I can be the best thing that ever happened for you. Right? And so what happened is you convince her to go past her own rejection of you, but yet she's with you and continue to reject you. Yep. Now the question is, but you forget about that after years of rejection. You tend to forget about that because you don't go to the origins of why you at where you're at. You understand? Because we conveniently forget to protect our own goodness. How dare you? I'm like, that girl told you no the first time. I've seen this a lot of times. I may have even done it myself. You understand? But I think oftentimes it's not so much that's a bad girl. We just good guys putting ourselves in bad situations to make her into a bad girl. Because she told you no the first time, she really wasn't that interested. But you ran past that red light anyway, Mr. Red Flag.
Shooter.
Are you 100% right, man? Roel said it earlier about, being exposed to people who are gonna give you a good time. You're that guy that wasn't raised that way. You in the Caribbean music, aka soca, there's a song called Lucy that I listened to, and she said she grew up a real good girl. She was going to school, doing all the right things, and then she was introduced to this music, and when she felt the music, she got loose. So that's why people call her Lucy. So the song and the music change her, and it does us as people. And sometimes you hear the other phrase, how once a good girl is gone bad, she's gone for good. Sometimes it might have been interaction with a guy, destroyed her, hurt her heart, destroyed her feelings, all of those good things that made her turn into the bad girl, which really isn't a bad girl. She just has no feelings towards you. And as a result, you take it as being her a bad girl because she, as Lionel just eloquently said, rejected your goodness. And or she took advantage of your goodness. That's the other one.
Yes.
Where you're treating her right, doing all the right things, and she seemingly is amenable to that. But then when you're looking for reciprocation, it ain't there. So there's no reciprocity in the goodness. And then you realize that she's taking advantage of your goodness or your, some dudes believe they can buy whatever they desire. And it's not always that. So I think we can create the bad girl that we didn't want or somebody else did. And it's just as all you guys have already said, we just ignoring red flags of these people who may not necessarily be right for you, but not necessarily bad per se.
So Gaspar, based on what you're saying, it just sounds, for me, when I hear it, I'm thinking this good guy is taking this girl and saying, I'm gonna change you and turn you into the woman for me.
Well, yeah and no. Because you remember, she wasn't necessarily a bad person. She may have, as Rohan said, exposed him to stuff that brought some excitement because he's a rather normal, I'll use the word boring guy. He doesn't do a lot of stuff. So here it is now, she is exposing him to these events and these different things, stuff that he doesn't normally do. So now she's pulled it out of him. So he just assumes that that person who's making him feel good is good for him.
Right.
When she's not necessarily. So I don't necessarily think that he was trying to change anything about her. He just took his perception of what he saw from her about how she made him feel in the moment and made her this good girl. That if he had stepped back, as the lovely light boy said, and paid attention, he would have realized that she wasn't necessarily a good girl for him overall.
He turned friendship to love.
He didn't say no, because even when she took him, again, G, even when she took him out, she gave him some of the goods.
Why,
so
why did it gotta be? I don't think it's friendship. I have to agree with Johnny on it. We gotta throw that. It ain't friendship. It's more like infatuation, lust.
Yes, there you go.
Sexually.
Right.
Those are the things that put us in that mix. Not friendship. Because if you have friendship.
No. You don't understand. What I'm saying is, but based on what Johnny's saying, she was like, yo, he's a good friend. That's what she's thinking. He's thinking, yo, she's gonna be my girlfriend.
I didn't say that, G.
So fellas, let me get an understanding. We like the thrill.
Yes.
So good guys like the thrill of just whatever it may be, whether it's chasing the cat, whether it's just adventurous or somebody jumping off the cliff. We want to chase that thrill.
Yes.
Hey Rod, I ain't gonna lie, right? I dated this chick. We went to Cancun, and she jumped off this thing into one of those what they call a sea note off the cliff, and I was like, oh snap, I gotta jump too.
Yeah, I gotta jump now too, because that's how it be. Like, hey, I understand.
I caught up, and I was like, oh hell no, this is not the one. She wild, she crazy. So I had, but I had to stay. I still messed up. I ain't gonna lie, because I got caught up in that lust, as Ross said.
Yeah, that's what you got caught up in. Yeah.
But
you ain't get caught because a friend could tell a friend, I ain't about to jump off of that. You can jump all you want.
But that's the thing about it, and this is where they start to get a bad rap or a stereotype put on them, because we are used to women being the experiment, not doing the experiment.
I hear that.
You understand? So we're used to experimenting with women, but not used to women experimenting with us. And so this is where they get the title bad girl from, because the minute a woman decides she want to experiment with a man like men experiment with women, all of a sudden she's bad now.
Yeah,
we've been doing it our whole life.
Let's go back.
Thank you. Lightborn said it exactly what I was trying to say, right? Because that's the thing, when you flip it, Yeah. When
Women
you flip
always
it
been
in,
bad, man. Look at Adam and Eve. Women always been bad.
Oh, Rod, you don't want to start that.
Yeah, man. You got to go back.
You're not gonna have a leg to stand on with that one, Rod.
brother Melvin. You don't want to start that one. Let's let G.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Watch yourself.
Go ahead, G. What you were saying?
no. I was just saying that Lightborn was saying exactly what I was trying to say. Like for her, she's experimenting. For him, he's finding a relationship based on how he's feeling about how the experiment is going.
Got it.
So he's more invested than she is. So after he finds out that she's not as invested, oh, you using me, you're a bad girl. And so then that's why the label gets strapped on there. So thank you, because that's exactly what I was trying to say.
What I'd like to add real quick, okay, we've been having some murders lately, and I don't want to go there with you guys. We got to talk about this. We have folks killing the families, taking out the whole families, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get calls all the time. Hey, ain't that guy's evil, man? He killed his wife. The kid killed his mom. The guy in Pembroke Pines shot his girlfriend. One of the things I want you guys to understand also, there are bad girls out there. There really are. There are bad boys and there are bad girls. Yeah. So, but the society we live in today will look at some men of certain color and just brand him as a bad guy, because based off maybe history or perception or just being afraid. So when we see these murders or these people killing off each other, the first thing everyone says, "Oh, he's evil. Oh, I can't believe she went back to that evil guy." But sometimes it's the female, because what most guys don't know is that in the court system, men get a fist, women get a pat on the back. Yeah. And for me to say that, it's gonna sound away, but in reality, women sometimes can slide. A beautiful female in the courthouse can persuade people just by that look.
Hold on, hey Ryan, you might want to mute Rohan before he got you canceled.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Cleaning up real quick.
But let's clean it up. Like,
clean this up real quick. All right, Rohan, let me use your example. And so I have a friend. I have actually two friends.
Right.
One friend that was on some high profile murders, domestic. One particular friend, a good friend of mine. He by every, now you're gonna say, because he actually killed his wife. Matter of fact, he killed his wife in front of their kids. And so I'm saying it to say this. By the scheme of things, before that took place, sociologically, he was considered a good guy, which means he had two responsible jobs. He worked for the county and the state, right? He can pass any level 2, 3, 4, 5 background checks. You understand? And here it is, a guy, and he was in one moment. We hung out that night. I didn't know that that him killing his wife was even an option. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know they was going through a divorce. On top of that, I was teaching nonviolence at the time. I'm literally a nonviolent facilitator at that particular time. We go out, we hang out the whole, we go out and hang out the whole weekend at the I know y'all remember this, the Sunrise Musical Theater, which is now the Fate Center, which is Bishop Fernandez. But it was Sunrise Musical Theater. I remember we went out to see Mike Epps when he was just starting. Mike Epps, they had a whole slew of comedians there. We had a good night. Then you know you're having a good night because we went straight from there to the after party at the Brick House. I don't have to tell you guys about the Brick House. 441, went up. But, and so you know you're having a good time when the night ends at 7 o'clock in the morning. We're having a damn great time.
I hear that.
So we went from Friday night to Saturday morning, had probably one of the greatest times a group of guys can have. Sunday morning, he went down there and shot his wife and killed her in front of the kids, all over the news. And then he tried to jump off the highest point of the what's that, Rickenbacker, down towards downtown Miami. And so I'm saying that to say this. He fundamentally, at every good point, and I would say that even up to this point, was still, by every standard that society set, a good guy. By every standard, I mean, just responsible to his family, whatever the case may be. I think where the conundrum came in at is the fact that how dare you reject the good guy that I am. And see the extreme of it, and that's what the danger of thinking that you're a good guy. That's a matter of fact, the majority of guys who killed their wife were good guys, or better yet, were labeled and stereotyped as good guys until they committed their murder. If you go check their background, most again could pass any level 2 background check, very extremely responsible guys.
Yes, yes.
Up until that murder. And so sometimes I think being that good guy or being stereotyped a good guy actually works against you.
Yeah.
You understand? Because it puts a standard on you that you're not willing to live up to at the time to even get help. Had that guy told me what he was thinking, I would have talked to his ass all weekend long, considering I was teaching him how. You understand? Simply because that was the purpose in my life at that particular time, to make sure that never occurred. Later on, years 20, 25 years removed, I'm at another situation, and the guys, he don't want to believe that his wife really rejected him, but she still wants this divorce. Know what I'm saying? He don't want to believe because he gave his best. Know what I'm saying? Now he's going beyond a good. He gave his best to this woman, and they accomplished a lot to get to the top and get rejected. And boy, there's nothing worse than getting rejected at the top. Because we're used to rejection happening at the bottom. But at the top is where all the irrationality have. And so as good as you think you may be, if you don't have somebody to intercede on your behalf and that extra brain in there or that extra intervention, you will kill them. Because I'm like, man, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I've never thought about that. I'm like, I understand the feelings very well. You understand? Yeah. But I understand the feelings well enough, right, to intercede on your behalf and ask your man, okay, if you thought about killing her, how would you do it? And we literally had to have those conversations. And guess what the guy did? Told me exactly how he would do it. I'm like, so, but what it did was gave him the platform to really discuss it and carry it out.
Yeah. Like point you hitting it right on the head. Well, the reason why we really continue to develop this platform, because in a space where men are very vulnerable, we might not want to act or accept it. We're very vulnerable. How I always kind of describe men and women in big difference is women always had their heart on their sleeve. It's falling on the ground. It's hard. It's crusty and what have you. Men don't. And when that joint fall, it's like they don't know even what they don't know what to do. And only thing that comes is the masculine, egotistical, diabolical. This is the end. It has to be the end. I can't believe blah 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 blah. And you see this all, and we know we've seen this like when we seen domestic abusers.
Correct.
The ones who are real domestic abusers, not manipulators, because there's two different kinds. Normally, those domestic abusers, you're very unlikely to find a domestic abuser who deletes their family members, their wife or their children, stay alive, because it is about the end. It is about, I don't know what to do. And if maybe by some chance he could have ran into another man and said, man, forget that. Let's go to the office.
Hey. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, Ron.
Right on point. Man.
Right on point.
And at that moment, he would have been able to remove himself and be able to come off of that. And it would take us also as men to recheck on that brother, because it is a kind of stress, a kind of anxiety, a kind of trauma that no one can really understand what happens to men. Like, women are used to getting beaten brow. And I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about emotionally, romantically. But men are used to being the one in control. And can you imagine? I just seen a video about the day about the white guy who killed his wife because she was cheating on him. It's a white guy, and it was all on the Ring camera. She was recording it, and it was on the Ring camera. She was she was like, I'm done with this. And he was like, no, you're not. We're not done. And that's because he didn't know how to move from this idea of, I did everything I'm supposed to do as a man to be the kind of man that you want me to be. And how could you leave me? Why shit? That happen to women all the time. Women do everything they're supposed to do. This joker go have 3 babies on her, and then move in with the Russian chick. So what that lady supposed to do? That lady, what you know what that lady do? She go and focus on, and here what I say, I will say the solution for us. Focus on the thing that matters. You know what matters now? Your children.
Yes.
Forget trying to worry about, listen, she gone. But what you can continue to be is a really good father to your children. Your wife, that woman you had, she gone. She with Roberto now. Roberto got her all kinds of ways doing whatever. But you know what? You say, hey, Roberto, can you drop my kids off for me? That's what you have to do, and put that energy into your kids, because in the long run of it, you know, because I listened to the little girl. The little girl said she lost both her parents that day. Her mother was dead, and she never wants anything to do with her father. Now, I don't know how clear that is and if that's true, but you have to really look at it. It's very hard to say, my dad killed my mother, and he only killed her because he couldn't have, as we know, it would be really the power and control to handle the situation. So we have to think about it, and we have to be able to be honest with ourselves, transparent, to say, I need some help from somebody who will help me. And again, like I said, a Rolex will help you. They would help you. What's that? What really big? What's the big one over there?
And you ain't talking about the watch.
The mint, all those places will take you. What happened?
Treasure
Island. Playhouse Hollywood.
All those places will help you, and it's not what's happening there. Is that you then begin to feel back like you're the man. You running something, and the man who's with you can tell you, see, let that go, let it be.
Yes. Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
I was thinking, that women, they have quite a number of outlets that they can go to and get involved with, but we men don't. And one of the biggest things that we need to do and continue to do is to talk about fatherhood and the programs that we are doing here to bring men and fathers in, so they can talk about situations and problems and things that open up where they would not be judged, but they will be listened to and given guidance or advice, to say, to whatever it's that they may be thinking. And sometimes that may open them up to open themselves up to the group or to one another. Sometimes we may need to, like we did before, hook it up where there's father on father, brother, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
Hey, I was dealing with this at one time. I see it sound like you're dealing with it. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that situation. And let me tell you how I was able to overcome. I dealt with it.
Good point.
Yeah, Elder Thomas, you again. This is so important. I mean, listen, if you came here to say, "Oh, I want to hear about good guys and bad girls," the message is this. This is the message right here. Here's the message. So this is the message right here. This is the message that really you need to be able to get, is that there is an opportunity for you to continue your life, and that romantic issues in a relationship that shouldn't end it. Especially if you're a father, because you have people who need way much more love than you could ever give a partner.
Yes.
I want you to think about there are people who need way much more love from you than you could ever give a partner, a person that you was involved with. Now, it's great to have them, and y'all be able to give the love to your children together. That's ideal and fabulosus. But the reality of, if you can't do that, trust me, you got it more than enough. Because let me tell you something, there's nothing in the world than to have your child hug you. Especially when they was young, you know, they're young or they rub your head, they come up to you, you like the king of the world to them. There's no feeling like that in the world. So I understand what it feels like to not have it when you had it. So that's another factor that we haven't we kind of didn't talk about, because we kind of talking about the man and the woman part of the relationship. So there are men who kind of feel like if they lose that feeling, the only person standing in their way of getting that feeling is that mother. And
yeah, she's a bad girl.
She's not a bad. She was just your bad choice of a girl to pick. That's what she was.
Not necessarily wrong.
I think we have bad situations, but I want to say that because, again, remember that second friend I told you about, again, another high-profile case. His was different because I knew him longer, and so we grew up from kids, so I know his character. But I think his killing his significant other derived from the what they call it, the jealousy of possibility, right? And so what do I mean by that? He was with the mother of his kid, right? And at this time, when he met her, he was riding very high. So which means, simply put, he met her as a fan of his. Which is an even stronger position to be in.
Yes.
She was a fan of his, had a kid from him, he never married her, continuously cheated on her. Let me show you how this works. I'm setting this up for you. So she a fan of his, he have a kid from her, he never married her, continuously cheat on her, and she gets the eye of a football player. Football player is actually getting ready to head to the draft, go pro. The football player actually loved his baby mama, and it's gonna literally and legitimately take her pro with him. I'm setting this up for you. This is a real story. And I'm sitting there, because I even had to go to court. I said, listen, friend or no friend, I still got to be a friend of justice. So let me go and see and start speculating. So I went and sat and like a whole day and tried from 9 to 5. I sat the whole day to get a clear understanding on what happened. And I'm like, I'll be damned. Boy, you did do this. Because I know him. And I'm like, you mean to tell me you let jealousy, jealousy and the possibility of jealousy actually made you act on something because she was a fan of yours, but you couldn't see yourself being a fan of hers? And she's getting ready to be a millionaire, and you can't believe, here's this woman I continuously cheated on, have a kid from me, and is getting ready to do greater things than me. You understand? I met you as a fan. How dare you? You understand? How dare you turn it and let life, or choose, right? Not even let life, but choose a life that will actually exalt yourself above me. That jealousy set in for him. It set in different because he not only decided he was going to do it, he recruited others to help him with it.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
And so imagine that having that kind of conviction, and this is why it's very important to have a conviction of your own, because he was supposed to have people around him that love him enough to talk him out of it.
Right. Absolutely.
But
right.
jealousy was so great that he recruited people into it. And the main star witness was his first cousin. And that's still the case for him. I'm like, I'll be damned. You really did do this, man. I'm so disappointed in you. But I was disappointed, but I wasn't, what they call it, shocked, because I had to go back in my own mind. I'm like, you did always. He was one of those guys who had younger parents, so his parents was always be able to take care of him, made sure he had the latest stuff and this and that. So he was one of those guys that never really wanted for anything. And so when you transition from that kind of upbringing and then go into some type of stardom and become a celebrity, he was one of those guys that was never really used to saying no or hearing no.
Yeah.
And so when he got that no was cataclysmic and brought all those worlds together, and he's on death row right now.
And it happens more often than not. I mean, again, we talk about, and you said it earlier, Lakeborn and I think Gene and Rohan, in that most of these men, if you look at their background, there's nothing about them that would have told you they would have done what they did in reference to taking their spouses, their girlfriend's life, because they as far as society's concerned, they fit the mold of being a good guy. At the end of the day, for most of us, it's always about who do you surround yourself with?
Mhm.
You know, who can you go to as far as friends and feel comfortable sharing? I think as long as we have this platform open, it will be here for men to be able to do so comfortably. And you know, you might be going through something. Somebody on here might have been thinking about killing their girl, and and today we had this message. So you know, it's interesting how God allows certain things to come to you. And I know Ron reminded us that our children are there for us as the greater love than the one of the partner. And I think, Ron, a lot of times when we ignore that, or when men choose to ignore that and make the choice that they do, it's not even about the kids. It's really about, as Lightborn shared and everybody else shared, they're not rejected. And the rejection is greater for them than the love. And because they're not used to that. And especially when you get rejected at the top, as Lightboy shared, when you have everything, you have all the accoutrements, the accolades,
Right.
the name is everywhere. You have all of the material thing that the world said you should be at this point in your life, and still says at this point, you're not the man I want to be with anymore. Dudes lose it, especially if they have given their all. And now that they're not even thinking about the kids anymore. They're strictly thinking about, sometimes a lot of them are thinking, wait, now what do I tell people? So they gonna think it was me. It's my reputation. And it had to be, because why would she leave all of that? So clearly he ain't that good. He ain't that dude that we think he was. So immediately we go into that, how do I fix the situation? And that fix it gets to the extreme sometimes. And I just think that we, as Lightboy said earlier, I keep saying Lightboy, the good, those of us who believe we are good, and as I said, we all have that bad in us.
Right.
We may have been bad guys back then when we treated them like crap. And now we have matured and got a little bit more sense and understand what it means to be a man. So we're now considered a good guy, because we walk our life differently. But that young lady from 20 years ago still looks at you like a piece of crap because of how you treated her back then. And even though she has grown up, her perception of you is still the same, because that's the man she remembers. She doesn't know the guy today. So I think we all have that good and bad in us, and there's people who can, look at us, and their subjective opinion is that we ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? No matter how good the world may tell us we are, because of what they experience with us. So I think this topic was ideal because it allows us as men to realize, no matter how good we are according to this world, and no matter how bad she may be according to our perception of her, somebody's looking at her and be like, that's a good girl. He's crazy. He might not be a good man. And they looking at us like, oh, he not that good of a dude. He thank you all of that. But let me tell you about back where he was. Let me tell you about Dr. Osborne. Let me tell you about the dude from Bethune-Cookman who made me feel like
that was you wrong, because I was good then too. I was a good listen. Listen, you gotta go farther. You gotta go. You gotta really, if you want to get to there, you gotta go back there.
I gotta go your farther back.
You gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go because and listen. And here's a great point to this, because I think this is a great point for us to think about, because of what happened in high school and what happened to me and my people around me. Is after that point, I then said, I'm not going to be like that anymore.
Wow.
So I got an early. What do people get that early development? That early involvement.
Yeah.
I got early involvement in like high school.
Bad choices.
Right in high school. Matter of fact, senior year high school, because we had already. Let's just say that we was kicked out. We was at the alternative school senior year. We missed all superlative, all the good stuff, because we were still being boys in the hood. That's what boys in the hood.
I hear that.
And then some of that slipped over. And then, listen, I ain't gonna say by the time I got to Bethune-Cookman, but I did slip back one time I slipped back, not at Bethune-Cookman, but when I came back to the city one time, I slipped back, and then I remembered that, hey, you're a collegiate guy. you doing something different, and you got to get back to where you go, and you do that, you know. Now,
Correct.
and it's funny you said that, because I want us to think about this. I know that when the Me Too movement came out, right? This is something for you to think about very much so, and it goes good with this topic. When the Me Too movement came out, we heard about the very horrible things that women suggested. Even some men and people suggested that people did to them. And some of those people even told themselves and said, "What? I never did anything like that. I was the nicest guy in the world. What are you talking about? That was consensual. There was all this and this." But if you have to be honest with yourself, and I had to even ask myself that, I even made a post and said, "Hey, listen, I don't know if I ever did anything to offend a non-consensual," because at the same time, I'm only consciously thinking like that because I'm working in that area of expertise. I'm working in domestic violence, working in consent. You teaching consent every day, how not to, become a sexual deviant, a sexual predator. You're teaching that. So then you go back and have to evaluate yourself and say, "Hey, the last thing I want to be there somewhere giving a major speech at one of the big conferences, a person come up and be like, I don't know how he's talking about doing any of that, because he had me laid out on the whoa.
Yeah.
So you just want to write a little note. I wrote it to post, say, "Hey, if hit me on the inbox because I want to share something with you. I want to, feel if you ever felt like," I ain't get no responses back to that. But I felt better because I sent that public message out on the network that I was using, just to say that, hey, if you feel like I did something, I want to be able to hear you. I want you to be able to hear me say that I didn't know that's what I did, and I was wrong for it, and I shouldn't have did it, even if I don't remember it, even if any of that stuff. But that is what heals some people. Just the opportunity for somebody to admit. Now, sometimes people start getting carried away and say, well, they calling Johnny, telling Johnny they want to get $30 million from me. I ain't got no goddamn $30 million. So you better hopefully get $30.
Not yet. But you understand, and I think where we particularly become victims and predators as men is because, truthfully, historically and globally, our wrongs is seen as a rites of passage. As a matter of fact, it's our wrongs that become a rites of passage into manhood. We all know that. I mean,
so in the Wild Oats, right? So in the Wild Oats.
You see it in just about, you saw it not just about every movie, because they say art imitates reality. And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, you will see good parents. I'm talking about good parents. They're saying, well, you know what? They'll say, they advise their children, "Oh, baby, you too young to get married." But they'll never say you too young to sleep with her. I never could really understand that for the sake of me. But it just goes to show how, and then you hear people, I mean, you hear women validate their own victimization by saying, "Baby child, a man is just being a man." Because they were beat down just by manhood in general, and by I guess the gender equality, historically and globally. Because I mean, America, you got it good. You understand? But everywhere else, you ain't nowhere near those rights. You understand? Right. But at the same time, we have to, and I think I can always see my wrongs, because I'm like, you know what? If I wasn't so busy trying to lay women down, I could have been better at standing up for them. I can eat that. You feel what I'm saying? And that's something I got to eat every day, especially now with daughters. You understand? And I got to make sure that I don't make the boys that do them wrong the devil. You understand? The devil for the stuff that I left out. And so hopefully, and I'll be honest with you, this is why I would inspire everybody to be the best men, not only be good fathers, be good husbands, but be good friends, be good men that you can be. Because the stuff that you leave out in this world, your kids can become victims of. Or even, and don't forget, they can also become predators of, because even with our sons, I'm like, yeah, but if you leave, you don't know what those habits are turning into. Just because you were strong enough to navigate those habits and not become a victim of it, don't mean they were childless. And so now you even see boys getting caught up in stuff that they just thought they had a rites of passage to, that can get them into wrongs that may cost them life sentences, just on simple charges like accusations of rape and stuff like that. And so now our boys and our girls on equal footing when it comes to being at risk for criminal justice behaviors, especially sexual.
You know, You know, I think also, you know, when we're talking about this, I think it's about not understanding emotion, right? And I think that women have a leg up on that when it comes to understanding emotion, because like Ron was saying earlier, they wear their heart on their sleeve. Anything happens to them, they get time to express themselves. They have that group, like Rohan was saying, they have that group that they can turn to. And I think all the Elder Thomas was saying that also. And so for men, you really don't have that. Even when it's kind of like a discomfort when you come with a problem. It's a discomfort to the people that you're coming to, who you're looking for you know, the help from. So they'll play that down and say, man, don't worry about it, man. Get over it, man. We don't even talk about that. Let's go redirect your emotions to something else and not allow you to deal with what you're going through. And I think that's what happens. When I was listening to the story that Lightborn was sharing, I think that's what happened with that guy. Yes, he had a great night of his life, but it was a redirection of the emotions he should have been sharing. You see what I'm saying? And so for him, I had this time, but I still got to go back and revisit where I left. And so I think that happens with a lot of guys who are in that situation. It's a revisiting of where they were, and the emotion is so strong because I think one thing like that was being said, that was alluded to, is when a guy decides to put everything into a woman, right? When you do that, you're giving everything of yourself. And so that rejection comes a lot harder. And because you have never had to deal with that, and you don't have any outlets to deal with it, it then manifests itself, because when things fester, they grow, right? And so when you start to get around other people who don't have that, and I know like boys are gonna hate when I say this, that emotional intelligence. but you know what I'm saying? Like you have people who aren't in tune with emotion and understanding how to process it, because it's one thing to know emotion, it's another thing to understand how to process the emotion. But once you get around the people who actually can help you process that emotion, identify the emotion, it changes the way you start to think. It changes the way you start to behave. And I think, you know, us being in the field is very easy. And I think over time, and it's because it's a learned behavior, over time it's easier for us to get it and process it. And again, you know, I want to iterate, a group like this is where you're going to get that strength and that ability to do so, because you're surrounded by people who've actually continuously practiced that skill. It's not something that we put down. Every day you're practicing skill.
Exactly.
In every situation. So
hey,
I think
I'm sorry, Gene. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask Rohan in the chat. He put, don't invest in Harry Bank, invest in your children.
That is to be discussed offline. We'll discuss that offline. Let's continue, please.
Listen, man, every time you come on here, I get to laugh. I ain't even lie. You just be, thank you. I just saw that and I had to laugh, but sorry to change this other topic.
Well, I'm glad I made you laugh.
But let me ask you. I know we got a lot of guys who just in the room and sitting here, and
yeah, a lot of them
may just be listening. But I definitely want to, you guys,
this what we want, right?
Definitely be able to chime in, even if it's just to say, man, I enjoyed this conversation tonight, or whatever it is. Because what happens is the people looking on the audience, the only people they can see is us with the cameras. So they only see like 6 people. They don't know that this room got almost like 17, 18 people in it. And
all right now.
Conversation. So if you guys if you want to say anything, this is the time. Don't wait until when you get off and say, man, I should have just asked this question, or I should have said this. Because this is the time, this is the play.
This is your time.
Or you could just wait until tomorrow, and then a little bit more private, because you might want to even go to the next level. You might want to then find out what the Harry Bank is.
Woo!
Who knows?
I see LJ on here. So LJ, Kendrick, anybody, you guys got any experiences that y'all want to share with the why does good boys like bad girls? Give us some of your thoughts on that. Roderick, Chad, what the world needs is love. All you
Jamal.
guys.
Well, I gave my insight on it. They like the thrill. They like chasing it. So that was my.
I wouldn't know, man. I wouldn't know. I grew up
around. Chad wouldn't know because he was the bad boy who got the good girl.
Right. So I grew up around a bunch of bad girls, but I guess being around them so much that didn't attract me to them. I wanted the total opposite.
I hear that. What? Hey, see, that's a whole nother show. See that whole nother show right there?
Yeah.
That's a whole that's a whole topic. What we around as young men, like JoJo Dancer, what we around as young men is what we want when we get older. We might be a little bit different.
JoJo Dancer is a terrible example, Ron, but go ahead.
JoJo Dancer grew up around in the whole house with all the stuff going on.
You know, you talk about this topic. I remember this female told me this years ago. I was having lunch, and she said to me, she used to be in a place called Sanford, and she said that she used to roll with what they call DB boys. Yeah, those are the words she used. And she said to me that while she was rolling up in the room with the DB boy, right? Because those DB boys, they got the dough. Yeah. The nice guy came and knocked on the door, right? So he knock on the door. So she didn't answer the door because she was rolling up there with the DB boy, yeah? You know what she told me? She says, all those boys are in prison, and the guy who's knocked on the door, now he's a judge. If she had known, she would have got married to the judge. Ain't that something?
But that's a perfect example of the good boy.
Yeah.
He's trying to get that girl. He's knocking on the door. And listen, this is hypothetical, and I'm just gonna say when that happens, the good boy spends focus all his time on being productive. He ain't thinking about the girl, and the next thing you know, he in a place because he working sometimes so hard to impress that girl that she might like what he's doing. To show her that because he many times we know we can't be DB boys, we can't be the dope boys, we can't be him. But we can be who we are, and if we the best at who we are, that might win over. But again, you ain't her speed, brother. But I know there's a lady right there somewhere. Listen, we live with abundance of women for men, right? There's 2 or 3 women who definitely was there but here's how women are, and they are so. Women are not dogmatic. Right? They're not. We like to say they are, but they're not dogmatic. Here those women that was around that guy, the hypothetical guy. They liked him. They thought he was a good guy for them, but they never did that because they knew it would destroy. They needed him because they also were smart enough to know that if they did it, he'll accept it, but that he wouldn't be real. Gotcha. They needed him to wake up and realize that I'm right here chasing her, and the person I need to be chasing is you, because you got my back, you got everything for me. And that happens a lot of times. A lot of times in both men and women relationships. The person that's right there, the person we really need to be with, we busy chasing Tom, Dick, Sue, and Mary, when the person we really need to be is sitting right there next to us.
Because the person right next to us doesn't attract us, doesn't pull us. There's something about them that we don't. What they said. I don't feel no fireworks. I don't get no sparkle. None of that stuff. And unfortunately, we get caught up in that. And we could revert back to the beginning that Brother Rod said. We like the chase. We like that aspect of it. The excitement of this person who does what they do. So I just think as a whole, and I see the time, Ron, bad guys, good guys, bad girls. At the end of the day, I think we have both in us. We have the good, the bad guy in us, and it's just about someone's perception of who we are at this moment in our life. And this topic could have went in so many ways. I saw Lightburn in the beginning. Describe good guys as people when it comes to race. class, sex. People could look at you in so many different ways as being good or bad, depending on who you are. And father, at the end of the day, our goal is to be good fathers. And I said, we could be the worst boyfriend, the worst husband, but our kids will look at us as the greatest thing since sliced bread, as long as we showing up and being the man that they desire for them in their life. So
Yeah.
your fathers continue. If somebody calls you good, great. If they call you bad, great too. But just be a good father at the end of the day.
And let me just,
and let me pick it back on what he just said, Ron.
okay.
And this is good. This is perfect, Johnny, what you just said, because what you just explained is, and sometimes we can neglect the opportunity to allow our good father or being a good father to mentor the good husband or the good man that we can be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it right there. Go ahead, Ron.
See that.
So I just want to, Johnny said something. I just want to, because I'm always thinking about fathers who don't have access to their kids. Don't give up because you don't have access. What Johnny said is true regardless of what you may be going through with your kids and their mother at this moment. But at one point, and I'm a witness, I can testify as a kid. What you don't know about your father, if you're interested, you will go and want to find. And you may find that that person has the same feelings that had the same thing. It just was a gatekeeper who kept the gate a certain way so you couldn't get in. Neither one of you couldn't get out or they couldn't get in. So don't give up. Just be ready when the gate opens, that you're ready to receive your kid and give your kid all the things that they've been missing. And it's not always going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because some of it's going to be a lot of anger, a lot of upset, a lot of misunderstood anger, misplaced. You have to be the man. You have to be man enough to take all of it and say, "I take it all, and where we going from here?" There's a lot of men who not mature enough to take it on the chin and say, "I understand. You're right. All those things, but where we going from here? What's our next move now?" Because I'm here. I love you. I always loved you. And I'm ready to move on because we still got a whole bunch more life to live. 19 until the day I die. 18 until the day I die, we got life to live with each other. So let's start there now. With that being said, I want to thank again everybody for joining us. If you just joined us late, go back, watch from the beginning, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. And if you really feel enthusiastic, man, just look down in the chat, down in the context, and join us tomorrow on the Zoom for men only, fathers only, and we'll be there. Again, we want to thank everybody, all the fathers who participated, all the fathers who came in. And fathers, repeat after me. I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Come on, fathers. I say that I am.
I
say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
We are
championship
fathers.
Hell, Joe, you missed the opportunity.
I'm coming back tomorrow to claim my crown.
All right.
And that being said,
thanks
everybody. Yeah, we'll see you we'll see you tomorrow night, or we'll see you next Tuesday night here on Fatherhood Think Tank.
Great topic, gentlemen. Y'all have a good night.
Good night. God bless all.
Yes.